Will come up to me and say that I represent hope. But I want to say to each and every one of you here today, even though you don't always receive the accolades you should, you deserve, without your dedication and hard work in the trenches, there would be no hope. No hope for an AIDS-free world. On behalf of a grateful world, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Garo Hutter. Sorry. Garo, a young, brilliant, formerly long-haired rocker hematologist from Berlin, that came up with the crazy idea for the first ever stem cell transplant that led to my cure, and ultimately saved my life. It was late 2012 when I met up with Garrett at a gene therapy conference in St. Louis at Washington University, and I asked him to be honest with me and tell me what my chances of survival were before my unique stem cell transplant. I started conservatively at 50%, then went down to 25%, then arrived at 5%. Garrett looked me in the eyes and said, he and his medical team felt I had only a 5% chance of survival. The power of hope. My story is really a tribute to the hundreds of people that have been in my life and have come into my life since I became the first person in the world cured of HIV. Sorry. In case you have not heard my story, here it is in 5 minutes or less. Which will be kind of hard since it spans about 17 years when I was diagnosed from HIV in 1995. Actually, that's 20 years. Bad editing. So here we go. My journey in 5 minutes or less. I was born in Seattle, Washington. I'm an only child. My father left when I was an infant. I never met him. I was attending school in Berlin in 1995 when I tested positive for HIV. I was terrified and thought for sure I was going to die. Some of my friends had already died. A cure was never discussed back then. I was prescribed only AZT. Then the protease inhibitor drug cocktail was realized in 1996. The next 11 years were pretty uneventful. Sorry. It wasn't until 2006, when living in Berlin, that I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. This was bad news. A young hematologist, Dr. Garo Hutter, started me on chemotherapy the very next day. I developed pneumonia early on. I had to stop my third round of chemotherapy halfway through when I developed sepsis infection. Tubes were placed into my heart. They went through my neck and down into my heart. I should have died. I was released from the hospital and my leukemia appeared to be in remission. Yeehaw. I took a vacation to Italy. Doctor's orders. Unknown to me, Dr. Hutter was reading about something called the CCR5 receptor mutation, genetic mutation. In 2007, while I was on a trip to the US, I soon found out that the leukemia returned. Shit, not again. Sorry about that. Erase that part for your mother. Initial attempts to try a different chemotherapy were not successful. I was going to die. However, a stem cell transplant became a viable option. Then, eureka! Dr. Hutter had a revolutionary stem cell transplant idea. Why not use a compatible donor who had a CCR5 mutation? Someone who is naturally immune to HIV. Dr. Hutter thought, maybe would not only cure my cancer, but also my HIV. Really, I wasn't prepared to be a guinea pig. I said no to the groundbreaking idea. I never really liked guinea pigs. The power of no. Sorry. Can't wait for that thing. Oh no, the chemotherapy, I changed the word. The chemotherapy didn't work. I'm going to die. Again, Dr. Huter discusses with me the revolutionary CCR5 stem cell transplant idea. I finally agree. The power of yes. Holy cow, Dr. Huter finds a compatible CCR5 delta 32 negative donor. I undergo the total body irradiation to wipe out my body's entire immune system, along with chemo, more chemo. I tell Dr. Huter that my boyfriend wants me to stop taking my HIV meds before the stem cell transplant. He actually thought that the chemotherapy would kill off the, will not allow the stem cells to reproduce. I've heard since that that's not true, but my ex-boyfriend thought that he knew a lot more than doctors did. Okay. Dr. Huter said, no, it's part of the protocol. I put my foot down. I refuse to participate in the groundbreaking CCR5 stem cell transplant. Dr. Huter has an emergency meeting with his colleagues. He comes back and says he's changed the protocol. I can now stop taking my HIV meds. I received the CCR5 stem cell transplant. 3 months later, there is no sign of HIV in my body. Really? They do more tests. Lots and lots of tests throughout my entire body. My blood, my brain, lymph nodes, and spine. And every place that they can think of to stick needles to take blood and tissue samples. I'm cured. No one in the scientific community believes it, including the New England Journal of Medicine. The Wall Street Journal writes an article about a strange Berlin patient that has been cured of HIV. Then the New York Times writes an article. Then finally the New England Journal of Medicine finally agrees to publish Dr. Huter's report on the mysterious Berlin patient. They had to have some way to refer to me because they couldn't use my name because I hadn't released my name and image to the public yet. So I was a Berlin patient. And I'm still kind of trying to lose that. But it's hard. In fact, I use it sometimes too, but. Okay, they announced to the world that in fact the Berlin patient is cured of HIV. But wait, no one knows that I am a Berlin patient. My T cell counts increase. I thrive, I go to the gym. I used to have the wasting syndrome, but without HIV in my body, I was able to develop muscles. I was looking good. I was feeling good until 2008 when my leukemia returned. Give me a freaking break. But hey, my HIV did not return. I undergo a second stem cell transplant from the same CCR5 donor. Thank God I have a really nice donor. They do more tests and in the process accidentally leave an air bubble in my brain. I go completely paralyzed, I'm delirious, I'm scared. I'm in and out of the hospital for more than a year. I lose my eyesight. I have to learn to walk again. I have to learn to talk again. My mother has come to visit me 8 times in the Berlin hospital. She works in the sheriff's office in Seattle. Her colleagues donate their vacation time so she can be by my side. Now more tests. There's still no HIV in my body. Hey, I'm still cured. Excuse me. I begin to realize that I still have some challenges. My body and mind have been through a lot, but I am alive. the power of life. I am the first person in the world to be cured of HIV. Sorry. But I know in my heart I will not be the last. But then I decided to come out as the Berlin patient in a German magazine called Stern. It's Star in German. It wasn't until I looked at the bigger picture that I realized that I needed to do more than just tell my story. And that is why almost exactly a year ago, during the NIH Strategies for an HIV Cure meeting near Washington, D.C., I made an announcement to the world. The launch of the first ever Global Cure for AIDS Coalition and Cure report. My business partner and co-founder, Dave Purdy, and I want to invite everyone to join us in our global effort to find a cure for AIDS. Dave and I have been through a lot together, the power of friendship. And also my partner, Tim, who's here in the audience. Right there. I know, Tim 1 and Tim 2, but I am Tim 1 unless you ask Tim. The power of love. There have been a number of reports of other people that have been cured that unfortunately have had their HIV return. But these people are still heroes to me, regardless of the outcome, because they tried, and science moved forward because of their courage and sacrifice for all people living with HIV. But then there are shining examples of those heroes who are committed to helping find a cure for HIV and literally turn over their life in pursuit of science. I had the honor and pleasure of speaking with Eric Blue, a very young man from Louisiana who was diagnosed with leukemia and was living with HIV. Get emotional here. Who a couple of years ago bravely agreed to undergo a similar stem cell transplant like I did, except with cord blood. Eric could have said no to the procedure like I first did. I spoke by phone with the entire medical team in Minnesota before the procedure was taking place, immediately before the procedure and immediately after. I got to speak with Eric and his mother. He told me that he was excited to perhaps be cured of HIV, just like me. 3 months after the procedure, Eric Blue, 12 years old, passed away. His body fought so hard that it appears his immune system eventually rejected the stem cells. Eric Blue is my hero. And there will be others too as we come together in search for arguably the holiest of grails, a cure for HIV. A cure for the millions worldwide living with this dreadful disease, as well as the millions that are currently undiagnosed. I believe when you look at my cure, you are really taking a glimpse into almost 35 years in the almost 35-year history of this pandemic. The hopes, the dreams, the defeats, and the victories. The tears, and in some cases, the times when all you could do was laugh uncomfortably. Because there were no more tears. For a while there, I thought people were interested in my story because I'm a freakish science experience that worked. But people around the world tell me that my story is a story about hope. I strongly believe that together we can turn hope into action, which will then lead to a cure. I'm just in the last page. Sorry. I don't know what to do with it. So anyway, I'm missing the last page. I thank you, everyone, for coming.